Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Monday, September 30th. It's the end of September. It's the end of the quarter. And yeah, it's the end of the fiscal year. We start a new fiscal year tomorrow. Tomorrow we have first of the month leading flows. It's going to be a big lead. This whole week we got tomorrow first of the month leading flows, and then we have Thursdays the Social Security payments. So the market should go up on this big infusion of transfers that are going to happen this week. But the bigger picture, if you want me to go over it a little bit right now, just summarize. I'm looking at declining net transfers and more fiscal drag from rate cuts and the things that are going to happen next year in 2025, which I've spoken about many times. I'm not going to be talking about that tonight. First of all, I want to mention that, boy, this Hurricane Helene, that ended up to be deadly. And I made a video on the day that it was hitting here. I'm in Southwest Florida near just above Fort Myers. And we got lucky here, man. We had some really vicious wind. We didn't get a lot of water where I was, but we just missed out because when it went a little bit north, if it would have come east sooner, we would have got hit a lot harder than we got hit. And I feel terrible for the people like in Tampa and Cedar Key up there, and then it went all the way into North Carolina and Georgia and Tennessee and South Carolina, and people's lives have been destroyed. Hundreds dead, well over 100 have perished. People missing. If you look at the images from these locations in the South, it's horrific, man. It's really, that was and there's another thing developing right now in the Western Caribbean. They don't know if it's going to turn into a tropical storm or a hurricane, but it has the potential. So I'm watching that I'm sure a lot of people are watching that pretty closely, but man, really, really damaging. And I went back and I looked at market performance after major storms where there was, significant damage, and Katrina, the ones we had recently, Ian, and others, and there was we saw like a 4 to 6% correction in the S&P in the aftermath in the weeks after those storms that have significant property damage and loss of life. So that could happen. But today I want to talk about, once again, it was a monetarist circus show, as they usually are. The monetarists got chopped up, they got whipsawed because, of course, Powell was speaking. And, I don't know about you, but I watch this stuff and literally I marvel at it. I marvel at it in the sense of just being kind of incredulous that people behave this way. He said some stuff which I guess they took as sort of hawkish, and the market dropped sharply on those comments, and then it came right back and it closed higher. I think even the S&P might have made a new record high. So they got whipsawed on the down, they got whipsawed on the up. And folks, it's just an amazing, very interesting actually display of behavior. If we talk about the markets, I talk about the markets, I try to impart some knowledge and information and stuff like that. I try to impart some, the mental game aspect, the emotional aspect, to try to control emotions, be disciplined, patience, all that stuff. So just looking at this kind of behavior and, juxtaposed against, these people who are very serious on CNBC and Fox Business, and they parade these people out and they talk very seriously about Fed policy and this and that, and earnings or whatever, and then which sounds very, it sounds very thoughtful and deep and everything, and then you see the behavior, and it's like, this is just craziness. It's just craziness. Today I equate it to, like, sometimes it's good to have some kind of an analogy, that you can relate to. I like to use the swimming pool analogy and a lot of stuff that has to do with government spending and transfers and stuff like that between the sectors. But today you can kind of I use the analogy of, like, imagine like you're at a very beautiful little tranquil pond somewhere up in the country, right? You're up, I don't know, you're in the Adirondacks or you're somewhere out west. You've been hiking, you come across this beautiful, tranquil pond. Maybe you're thinking about going fishing or something like that. The surface of the pond is like glass, okay? It's very still. You're thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I could cast my line in. Maybe you have a little float or bob or whatever you call it, and you're going to be able to watch that, hoping to catch some fish. And all of a sudden, somebody throws a big rock into the pond, or something big and heavy falls into the pond, and there's a big splash, and waves, the ripples are reverberating out, and you're thinking, oh my God, it's a tsunami, and it's just going to be like this. The pond has suddenly been transformed. I better get out of here. Little do you realize that that's a temporary event. Eventually, and quickly actually, the pond is going to revert back to its regular state, which is that flat state, calm. But you surmise, you look at this and you say, that is the new state of the pond. Big waves, ripples, emanating out from wherever that object hit. And that is the new state of the pond, and I have to behave or act in that context of the new state that you think this pond is in, with big ripples and waves and splashes, and it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. Now, nobody that I'm talking to you guys, I know none of you would act that way. If you were at that pond, I'm sure every single one of you would not act that way. You would know, oh, something fell out of a tree, or, somebody threw a big rock in there and it's going to quiet down, and I'm going to hook up my rod and my reel and my float and my bait, and I'm going to get ready to fish. But when it comes to the markets, they react to that. And they think that is like the new state of the market, the new condition of the market. I mean, anyone could understand, using the pond analogy, that is completely irrational. And that kind of behavior is completely nuts. It's crazy, irrational. But that's what they do every single time. And that's why I say you always go against that stuff. All right? Like if you had a buddy at the pond and he saw that rock come in and splash in his ripples, and he runs to his truck and takes out his surfboard thinking like now he's at the Bonsai Pipeline in Hawaii, you would think the guy's totally nuts. The pond is going to calm down. It's going to go flat again. He's paddling out to try to catch some big wave, which is never going to happen. I mean, this is literally what's going on with these people. And they're taken seriously. Like, you have people fixated in front of screen. And I know, I've been in trading rooms. I've been on the trading floor. You have people fixated, probably in their homes right now as day traders, looking at something like this and trying to surf that, okay? I mean, it is complete idiocy. I mean, you have to look at that. Any rational person, and I'm sure if you with the example I gave with the pond, every single one of you would understand. But I'm wondering how many of you would react or do react like that, okay, when an event, during the day, like Powell says something, or there's a headline or some blip or something like that, You're taking out your surfboard, ready to go in there, riding some big bonsai pipeline wave. Waimea Bay. Come on, you have to sit back. Number one, I sit back and I crack up when I see shit like that. I don't pay any attention to it. I try to go against it if it's aligned with my macro view, okay? This is why, like, when I taught my Forex trading classes online, I used to tell people that, a lot of people look at volume, but I believe that they look at volume in the wrong way, okay? They look at volume as to kind of, substantiate like a breakout or something like that. I look at it, volume, simply as an indicator of urgency. Okay, when the volume spikes, that means there's urgency. There's urgency to do something, either to get out or to get in. Okay, and depending on where that volume happens, where that volume spike happens, whether it's at a high price or a low price, you can ascertain from that who's getting hurt and who are the smart people, okay? If the volume is high after the market has gone up a lot, to me, that's not a breakout. That's like people getting squeezed out. That's like forced liquidation. That's like margin calls and shit like that, and short covering. When the volume gets high on the downside, that's forced liquidation, okay? That's just people having to bail out, margin calls, whatever. And so that represents like the flushing out of whatever embedded weakness there was in the market that wasn't apparent, as it was moving maybe in one direction for a long period of time, being carried along, getting to a very speculative level in terms of the price has gone too far relative to the fundamentals, and then you get that big volume spike. That tells you that people are getting hurt and they're getting pushed out, and that's when you want to go against that. I always said that forget about, charts looking at price and trend lines, and I don't need to see that. All I need to see is price action with volume. And whenever that volume spikes, okay, I go against it. And 9 times out of 10, there are going to be times when that, view or understanding of volume might not apply. Like if the market's been like real quiet for a long time, maybe basing out, maybe sideways for a long time, and then suddenly it moves out of a price range on high volume, that could be the start of something, okay? But in general, the way to use volume is as an indicator of urgency. In other words, people getting hurt, or people seeing like, smart people, savvy players seeing big opportunity or opportunity to get in big, okay? So it's very, very telling. Volume is very, very telling. But insofar as today is concerned, I mean, I just look at these days and it's a fascinating study in behavior. And I just wonder why they keep doing it, because, listen, I know they're getting chopped up, because you want to know why? Because I used to do the exact same thing for a long time in the early days of my career. I would do, everyone started buying or selling, I would do the same thing, and it was exactly the wrong thing to do. All right, some number would come out, somebody would say something, there'd be a headline, we all jumped on it, thinking, like, okay, now it's really gonna go. And guess what? It was a trap. And we made our own trap and we went right into it. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Please like and subscribe if you've already done that. Thank you very much. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I need 1,500. It's a lot. I need 1,500 more to go. It might take all the way into next year, if not more. But please help me out on that. And don't forget, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial to MMT Trader. See you tomorrow. Bye.